live from Scott Christian University, Machakos, exclusively on KBC Channel 1.
They came, saw and scored their way to the DFB Pokal final. Germany's valiant rivals, SC Freiburg and RB Leipzig, are a heartbeat away from lifting the ultimate trophy of which none has ever won. SC Freiburg are still hopeful of winning their first major title in club history. Meanwhile, RB Leipzig have reached 2 of the last 3 DFB Pokal finals, losing 3-0 to Bayern Munich in 2019 and 4-1 to Dortmund in 2021. It is therefore a moment of truth for these finalists.
So 5 from 6 this season, make that 6 from 7. 35 minutes gone, 3-0 Freiburg. This is history in the making.
As we reveal the identity of 2021-2022 DFB Pokal champion, keep a close eye on this grandest match between SC Freiburg and RB Leipzig on Saturday, the 21st of May 2022 at 9 p.m. live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
As campaign intensified for the upcoming general election, what does all this mean for you, the voter? What do the candidates have to offer? How prepared are agencies charged with the election process? Join John Kuria and Safina Chieng on Kenya Decides. This and every Tuesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 as we unpack elections 2022 with a panel of various stakeholders. Make informed electoral decisions.
Banki imeconfirm pesa zimeingia. Congratulations Sam, gari ni lako sasa.
Shukran. Oi boss, si uniache insurance yako nitumie kabla nijipange.
We, insurance ya gari haiwezi kuwa transferred kwa mtu mwingine.
Sina habari na nikuulize, hii comprehensive insurance inakava vitu gani?
Comprehensive motor insurance inakava gari linapoharibika wakati wa ajali pamoja na uharibifu wa mali ya mtu mwingine, gari likiibiwa au likichomeka. Pia inakava passenger wa gari lako na passenger wa lile gari lingine kunapotokea ajali.
Kwani umenisahau mimi kama driver?
Dereva hakui covered na comprehensive insurance, ila anajitafutia personal accident cover.
Umenichanua. Rose,
Yes.
hata nishughulikie hiyo insurance, nitakujia gari kesho.
Okay, sawa.
It's the 17th day of May 2022. You are in time for KBC Prime Edition, coming to you live from Broadcasting House right here in Nairobi, Kenya.
And charity begins at home. Azimio la Umoja presidential running mate Martha Karua now toward her home county in Kirinyaga County, even as more presidential candidates, including Ruben Kigame, continue to unveil female running mates.
And on Kenya Decides tonight, JJ Kuria hosts a panel, the running mate question, and tonight's topic is the ultimate choices. But first, our top stories.
$8,000 delegates troop in Kisumu as the 9th edition of the Afri Cities Summit begins. rousing welcome for Azimio presidential running mate Martha Karua in Kirinyaga.
Leo kuna magavana ambao sisi tuliwashtaki, magavana ambao wana makesi za ufisadi, makesi wengine hata wanajulikana na vituko vyao, wengine walikimbia jela.
In pursuit of political integrity, politicians who fall short of the standard to be bad.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. My name is Mboya.
My name is Museo. A very warm welcome to the broadcast. Lensa Odingo is our sign language interpreter tonight at KBC Channel 1 News at Purity_Museo at Mboya24. The hashtag to use tonight is Prime Edition.
Straight to our top story. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party running mate Martha Karua received a rousing welcome at her Kirinyaga County home during a homecoming a day after she was unveiled as the Azimio la Umoja Party running mate.
Karua, who also toured Murang'a County, urged Kenyans to interrogate leaders on what they have done to change the lives of Kenyans. The first time Martha Karua was visiting her home county after being unveiled as Raila Odinga's running mate, security was beefed up as traffic was disrupted in many parts of the busy roads across the county. The NARC Kenya leader promising to popularize the Azimio coalition in the region and ensure they secure a majority of the votes in the August 9 polls.
Hii ni wakati wa kujiuliza, ni timu gani unaweza amini? Ni timu gani itakuletea mabadiliko? Kama maisha ya mtu ile tumesikia kwao ni kazi haieleweki. Kama hakuna mahali mtu ameenda akafanya kazi ya kusifika, leo hii sio ataanza kufanya kazi yako. She said the Azimio la Umoja presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga will soon tour the county. Karua implored county residents to give the coalition a chance to serve them. Nitakuwa nafanya kazi yako kikamilifu. Naye baba Raila Amolo Odinga, maisha make mote, arutete wera, inawezekana. Azimio! Leaders accompanying Karua asked residents to support her state house bid to ensure she becomes the first female deputy president.
Na huyu mama si mama tu hivi amepigania Kenya miaka mingi. Ako na track record ya kupigania haki za Wakenya, na ndio sababu baba ambaye pia ako na hiyo track record wameshikana pamoja wabadilishe Kenya.
Hata mtoto wetu wa Ngema eti ya kwamba ni mama wa kwanza katika Kenya mzima kuwa naibu wa rais.
And Deputy President Dr. William Ruto has taken issue with his opponents over what he terms as engaging in deceitful politics. Ruto, accompanied by his running mate Rigathi Gachagua, was speaking in Nyeri, and he asked leaders to focus on issues that are of value to the nation.
Deputy President William Ruto was in Mathira, Nyeri County for the burial of James Rigathi Gachagua, the brother to his running mate Rigathi Gachagua. It is here that Ruto took issue with his opponents, whom he accused of engaging in what he said to be deceitful politics detrimental to national unity.
That is why on the 9th of August, the people of Kenya must reject deceit and must reject deception so that we can free our country and move our country into the future united and prosperous.
Ruto saying that the Kenya Kwanza team was keen on finding solutions to the country's economy, while accusing his opponents of being driven by the need to change the constitution to fit their interests.
Tofauti kati yetu na wale tunashindana na wao ni kama usiku na mchana. Wanatuambia ya kwamba wanataka kurekebisha katiba, kufaidi viongozi. Sisi tunasema tunataka kubadilisha uchumi, kufaidi wa Kenya wa kawaida mamilioni.
People are being told that you shall hold this position or hold that position. But you will note with a lot of precision that the Kenya Kwanza Coalition document talks of parties nominating individuals who shall be considered for those posts. It does not go to the point of saying it shall be so and so.
We are focusing the future, and the future is bright, is visible, and we can see Kenya reinventing itself.
The DP defending his candidature alongside Rigathi Gachagua, terming him as a hard worker who is people-centered.
Every other time I've had a conversation with Rigathi Gachagua, it has been about the people. If we are not discussing GMI, we are discussing how to improve the lot of ordinary business people.
You shall have nothing but total support and loyalty from Rigathi Gachagua, because that is the way he has been brought up. Mine is yes sir, yes sir, yes sir.
Women are not looking for one position, Your Excellency. We are looking for equal participation and possibly 50% of your government. And we shall not accept a bait of one position.
Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
Safina Party presidential candidate Jimmy Wanjigi has nominated Willis Evans Otieno, an advocate of the High Court, as his presidential running mate for the August 9th election. Meanwhile, gospel musician Ruben Kigame, who is eyeing the top seat, unveiled Irene Ng'endo Kamau as his running mate. Speaking after the unveiling, Kigame, an independent candidate, challenged political parties to comply with the 2/3 gender rule.
Jimmy Wanjigi, who is seeking the presidency in a Safina ticket, has nominated Willis Evans Otieno, an advocate of the High Court, as his running mate. Promising to revolutionize the economy by creating business opportunities, Wanjigi said Safina Party will save Kenya from the high debts the country is experiencing.
We are resetting Kenya, and that's what we need to do. And reset, we don't want to carry the baggage of yesterday forward. This baggage is full.
Otieno accepted the nomination, saying time for young people to take high leadership positions have been long overdue.
I work largely on public law, public interest litigation, working with local communities to use the law as a tool to bring positive change to communities. Most of the cases which I do are about putting governments to check.
Meanwhile, gospel musician Ruben Kigame, who is vying as an independent candidate, unveiled Irene Ng'endo Kamau as his running mate.
Building Kenya implies building people, building citizens, building you and me, building every child, building every woman.
One day, one time, God knew this day would happen. Yes. And it has come. Yes. The people that lived in darkness have seen the light.
Kigame challenged leaders to comply with the 2/3 gender rule, promising to address what he termed education gaps from the grassroots levels, stressing on the need to stabilize the economy.
Away from politics now, the 9th edition of the Afri-City Summit kicked off in Kisumu City, with the focus being on sustainable urban development across the continent. The summit brought together an estimated 8,000 delegates, among them key leaders across the continent. President Uhuru Kenyatta graced the forum, as Wycliffe Okech now reports.
First day of the Afri-Cities Summit in Kisumu City. Delegations from across and beyond the African continent streamed to the Jomo Kenyatta International Stadium for a summit being held in an intermediary city for the first time since inception. The summit brings together at least 8,000 delegates, including key leaders across the African continent, exhibitors and international media practitioners, rallied by the common goal of charting the way forward in devising homegrown solutions to the challenges bedeviling African cities. Led by President Uhuru Kenyatta, who officially opened the conference, speakers underscored the need by African cities to devise a common approach in addressing challenges in the urban settlements.
So as we convene to deliberate on how we can establish a shift towards a new urban paradigm and unleash the potential of intermediary cities in fostering inclusive development and the realization of our SDGs and all other social economic development initiatives, we must keep in mind that Africa is becoming increasingly urbanized.
We wished to send a clear message that the reality of our continent is reflected in the way we treat our intermediary cities.
The AU has developed also the African Charter on Values and Principles of Decentralization, Local Governance and Local Development to facilitate implementation of decentralization, which remains a challenge in many countries.
Kenya's 2010 constitution also receiving plaudits for birthing the devolution concept.
Further, county governments are the generators of spatial plans and development plans that are aimed at promoting evidence-based decision-making.
Intermediate cities also have the potential to address inequalities among groups that have arisen from central power structures that disproportionately channel resources to few urban areas.
President Kenyatta used the platform to highlight his government's contribution to the development of intermediary cities through infrastructural development as envisaged in the Big Four agenda.
These concerted actions have been through the Kenya Devolution Support Program, the Urban Support Program, the Kenya Slum Upgrade Program, and the Kenya Informal Settlement Improvements Program.
The theme for this edition of the AfriCities Summit lies in the role of intermediary cities in the implementation of the UN Agenda 2030 as well as the AU Agenda 2063, both of which seek to improve living conditions for the populace.
There is a deficit of housing and housing finance, with only 15% of urban dwellers in Africa able to afford to purchase their own homes.
It's therefore obvious that we are already out of time to have our cities and urban areas connected by road, rail, air, ICT, and waterways.
The summit is set to run up to May 21, with the local government seeking to sell the lakeside city as viable and prime for investment. For Prime Edition, I am Wycliffe Okech.
Former Tana River County Governor Hussein Dado and Garsen Member of Parliament Danson Mungatana are seeking a comeback after years in the political cold. Dado was trounced by Godana Dado in 2017 after serving one term as the county chief, while Mungatana lost the Garsen MP seat in 2013 and he has not been successful in capturing another seat. The duo are seeking governor as well as Senate seats respectively on a UDA ticket.
Both are now leading a campaign rally for Deputy President William Ruto's presidential bid in the county. Speaking during a political rally at Hatata Primary School grounds in Mororo, Dado urged the residents to support and vote for Ruto come August 9th.
Mnataka seneta ambaye atazungumza wafanyie kazi ama mnataka seneta maziwalala? UDA members tunapongeza hiyo kwa sababu Gachagua nilifanya naye kazi katika provincial administration.
And Kenya Kwanza leaders in Narok County have called upon residents and their opponents to maintain peace during this campaigning period. Speaking outside Narok County Commissioner's office after a 2-hour closed-door security meeting chaired by Narok County Commissioner Isaac Masinde, Narok County Governor Samuel Ole Tunai thanked the commissioner for cancelling Monday's meeting for the sake of peace.
Na tumekubaliana kama team ya kwamba tutaomba wananchi wetu wote wakuje na amani, hatutakuwa na furugu yoyote.
La muhimu sana ni kwamba sisi tulichaguliwa kwa msingi wa kulete kaunti hii pamoja na kulete watu wote wa kaunti hii pamoja.
Meanwhile, a bitter political war is looming between the United Democratic Alliance Party and Pamoja African Alliance Party in Kilifi County, following differences over the fielding of candidates under the Kenya Kwanza coalition.
Na tufanye kazi pamoja kwa sababu ya kuhakikisha Kenya Kwanza, rais wetu wa 5 Mheshimiwa Ruto amekuwa rais.
Elsewhere, KCS MP Swarup Mishra, who is seeking to retain his seat on an independent ticket, was moved to tears after receiving a heroic welcome from his constituents in KCS town, 2 days after Kenya Kwanza brigade leaders blasted him for shunning away the UDA party, which is a common party in the region.
We have to work together by the grace of God, and your blessings and your prayers.
Ruth Wamboi for Prime Edition.
In other news, the offices of the Director of Public Prosecution and Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission are imploring ways of barring politicians with integrity issues from contesting in the August 9th general election. The Director of Public Prosecutions, Nordin Haji, and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Chief Executive Officer Twalib Mbarak have said they will use all available avenues to ensure Chapter 6 of the Constitution is fully adhered to.
It was on the sidelines of the ongoing 4th Regional Conference of Africa, Indian Ocean and the East Africa Association of Prosecutors in Mombasa that the offices of the Director of Public Prosecution and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission took on Parliament for circumventing Chapter 6 of the Constitution, allowing politicians facing graft cases vie for elective seats.
Sasa mtu mpaka ana record ya kukimbia jela. Na bado nyinyi mnasema huyu jamani innocent. Record ziko prison ziko, mtu alikimbia jela na mtu akimbia jela anataka nafanya nini? Basi tutatafuta tumshike na tumrudishe. Tuambiwe ni siasa nini, hakuna shida. Unajua huwezi kufurahisha kila mtu, kufurahisha kila mtu itakuwa shida.
Haiwezekani kuwa umekuwa impeached kwa ajili umefanya kosa fulani ama kadha wa kadha kule Nairobi, na sasa umetoka kule Nairobi waja kwa ofisi kutafuta ofisi nyingine kwa mji mwingine. Hilo jambo nadhani haliwezekani na itakuwa ni kucheza shere ama kuchezea shere sheria.
They reiterated that they shall work round the clock to push for justice and have a free and fair election.
What we are doing as ODPP is prioritizing our resources, our expertise and our abilities to ensure that we have the requisite or that we are able to pay attention to elections in Kenya, and that violence and abuse of processes are not experienced this time round.
Mbarak said that already his office have seized with information of biogas certificates being presented by some candidates, and he will be liaising with IEBC to ensure such individuals are not cleared.
Saa hii tushaanza kupata habari kuna watu wanataka kupigania governance na wana degree, lakini semekana walimaliza form 2, wengine sasa 7 liver, sasa class ya 7 alafu uko na degree, secondary ulisoma wapi? Kwa hivyo kuna shida nyingi, lakini sasa sheria ndo zinatusumbua.
Treasury and Planning Cabinet Secretary Ukuri Yatani, who opened the forum, noted that the sharing of information amongst the countries in the continent will play a critical role in solving the emerging transnational organized crimes.
I think most of us in the region have experienced or continue to experience to a great extent the adverse effect of terrorism and corruption, which distorts resources and denies the public the opportunity to get better service delivery when the public is actually paying for it. This is a very important moment that we need to now share those lessons and see how best we can deal with them.
For Prime Edition from Mombasa County, I am Ann Boro.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723 892 654 or 0734 780 124.
To get John chapter 11 as your skiza tune, dial star 811 star 965 hash.
I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. John chapter 11, verse 25.
To get John chapter 11, dial star 811 star 965 hash. To get John chapter 11, dial star 811 star 965 hash.
Our arts and entertainment industry has evolved over the years.
It is at such times that our destinies are written. Will we rise up in courage or die in cowardice?
Who are the movers and shakers in film and theatre? Get trendy as we review locally produced films and stage drama every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on Cinemas and Theatre.
Brought to you by the Kenya Film Commission. Film Kenya, Capture Africa.
Welcome back to KBC Prime Edition.
And Kenya Decides continues tonight. John Jacob Curry, our colleague, speaks about the running mate, the ultimate choices. We saw from the 15th, of course, different parties. The UDA was choosing or chose its running mate, who is Gachagua, and today, different presidential candidates have been choosing running mates. But what does this mean as far as the 9th poll or winning this election is concerned? That is what John Jacob Curry is talking about with a panel of guests. John Jacob, it's nice to speak with you. I'm sure you've heard this question. Please, as you answer it, tell us, who do you have on board and what do we expect from that conversation? He's coming to us live from the Norfolk Hotel.
Thank you, Purity Museo and Tom Mboya. Indeed, we're live from the Norfolk Hotel. The conversation tonight is on the running mate question. On the 16th of May, which was yesterday, that was the deadline for the submission of the running mates. And that will be your conversation tonight. What went into the thinking that informed the choices for the running mate position? That is a conversation tonight, and we look at all the candidates nominated for various, or the presidential aspirants, but most importantly, the two major coalitions and the candidates they settled for. That's a conversation, and what went into the minds of the presidential aspirants as they settled for this running mate candidates. And of course, tonight we'll be engaging Daisy Amdani, Kennedy Ojonge, and Dr. Gillian Roa, obviously to settle this question on what went into the choices of running mate. That conversation coming from 10 to 11 on Kenya Decides. Back to you, Purity and Tom.
Thank you very much, JJ. JJ joins us right after this live broadcast. But let's get on with the day's news. The outgoing clerk of National Assembly, Michael Sialai, has defended the Parliamentary Service Commission against inefficiencies in concluding the multi-billion shilling Parliament Tower that has taken 8 years. Appearing before the Defense and Foreign Relations Committee to defend his suitability for position of the High Commissioner to Namibia, Sialai attributed the delay to contractual hitches beyond the Parliamentary Service Commission. Here's that report.
The National Assembly Defense and Foreign Affairs Committee continued vetting nominees for missions. The nominee for Indonesia, Galma Boru, a career diplomat, was the first to defend his suitability to represent Kenyans' interests in the biggest economy in Southeast Asia.
Trade is one area that I'll be focused on in terms of taking goods where we have comparative advantage, like coffee, tea, cut flowers, macadamia nuts, leather, and other products into the market where we have comparative advantage. In terms of employment opportunities, Chair, there is a demand for English teachers in Indonesia. That will be my entry point when I arrive in Indonesia, to be able to see whether I'll be able to seek employment opportunities for Kenyan English teachers.
Paul Ndongo, nominated as High Commissioner Mozambique and currently serving as the Director Foreign Service in charge of Asian Pacific, was the second before the MPs. The lawmakers seeking to know how Ndongo would use his 32 years experience in foreign affairs to better trade between Kenya and Mozambique.
What business opportunity do you think are available to our country, and do you think we have taken advantage of such opportunities before? If yes, how? If no, how do you plan to go about it?
The nation of Mozambique is a friendly country, a beautiful country with a lot of opportunities for bilateral trade both ways. And indeed, I've not come across another country outside of East Africa which has an equal exchange in terms of exports and imports like we do with Mozambique.
Outgoing Clerk of National Assembly Michael Sialai appeared before members who have been his peers for the last 5 years. He has served legislature as the clerk. MPs sought an explanation on the delayed completion of parliamentary towers and cost variation therein.
When we took to this contractor who took over the building, we have named it just for main works, but we also had so many other subcontractors, almost 18 of them in fact, electrical, plumbing. What people do nowadays is to take one contractor to do all the work, and there were issues between subcontractor and the main contractor, which the commissioner, I can tell you, have had to go out of their way, meeting almost daily to ensure that they start working relationship between the contractor and this one.
Others that appeared before the vetting committee include retired Major General Andrew Ikenye, nominee for Nigeria, Margaret Shava, nominee for Netherlands, and Amina Abdallah, nominee for Sultanate of Oman. Gesho Kiwashira, Prime Edition.
And the United Nations has cited insecurity as a major threat to leadership globally. UN's Entity for Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women, UN Women Deputy Country Director Rukaya Mohammed said victimization of women venturing into elective politics denies nations better leaders. Azarine Muchuma Odim now reports.
Societal discrimination is a major setback for women scaling to management. UN Women Deputy Country Director Rukaya Mohammed says the patriarchal nature of African culture tends to subjugate women.
Threat to their lives, their safety online, and also, so they receive threats by phone, and some of them, people come to attack, during their rallies, they are interrupted. So that is really a challenge for women, both physical and online, a threat to their safety and security, and also the threat to their families.
While stating that women easily steer development from family to national level, Rukaya lauded Martha Karua's presidential running mate nomination as a gain in gender balance.
I will even start with my country, Ghana. I know we've never had a woman as a vice president, so that should even be the starting point. I will encourage every country that women are good leaders. When in countries that you have women leading, actually there's great investment in social, like education, in health, in infrastructure.
Sentiments echoed by the African Women Leaders Network Kenya, who endorsed Karua's reformist and resilience credentials.
She stands tall as a woman, but more importantly to note is that as a leader in her own right, she stands out.
There have been women even who have vied for presidential positions, but Martha is a woman accepted across the nation. She's a woman who everybody knows. Whether you like her or you don't like her, you know her, and you know what she stands for. And you know that everybody says she's a no-nonsense woman.
Irene Chuma Odim, the Prime Edition.
Brigadier Joyce Sietene is a Kenya Defence Forces education officer who's known to many in her constituency for actively participating in gender mainstreaming processes at the Ministry of Defence, as well as the Directorate of the Director of the International Peace Support Training Center. Nisi Imano has a sit-down with the Brigadier and brings us this week's episode of the Military Tales.
A sunny afternoon in Nairobi, I sit down with the director of the International Peace Support Training Center, Brigadier Joyce Sietene.
Joyce was born in 1967 in Kapsabet, the fourth daughter in a family of 9 children.
She is a Kenyan Defence Forces education officer by background and holds a bachelor's degree in education from Kenyatta University and a postgraduate diploma in peace and conflict studies from the Africa Nazarene University.
And majored in history and Christian religious education. After which I went into teaching for a short while. As a graduate teacher, I taught for 4 years in Longisa High School, which is in Bomet County. I thought of changing careers and joined the military. So I joined as an education officer in the military in 1994.
Brigadier Sietene graduated from the National Defence College, Kenya, and has held several appointments since joining military service.
First began in the Women's Service Corps when I graduated from the Kenya Military Academy, which was then the Armed Forces Training College. This was an infantry unit based in Nyali Barracks.
Over the years, Brigadier Joyce has gathered extensive training experience in instructional methodology and adult education techniques and a wide knowledge of curriculum design and its practical application. In 2001, Brigadier Sietene served in Rwanda as part of the Kenya Military Assistance Training Team.
This was after the conflict in Rwanda, you remember the genocide in 1994. But this was in about 2001, 2002.
And from 2002 to 2003, was seconded to the United Nations as a military observer in the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
I was in Rwanda helping the Rwandese army build the capacity of the new army that they had established at the time. And this was a significant turning point in my life because I saw what conflict can do to communities and what conflict can do to women.
During this period, she developed a particular interest in gender issues and went on to participate in gender training all over Africa on behalf of International Peace Support Training Center and the Pearson Peacekeeping Center, Canada.
And looking at gender and peace and security has become a very important aspect of my career today. In Eastern DRC, during the conflict, and even up to today, women are targeted greatly. You know, atrocities like rape, abduction, displacement, those that bear the brunt of conflict are mostly women.
Brigadier Sietene has had her fair share of challenges along the way, and even just a few years ago, she suffered a huge blow to her health.
Life is not without challenges.
Yes.
As a person, one of the major challenges has been that in 2010 I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and that was daunting as well. But I overcame that, and I'm able to continue with my work as expected.
Even through that experience, her mental and physical resilience was strengthened.
I thought this would incapacitate my ability to carry out training, but that did not. But with the support of my colleagues and the military, I overcame. That was a major challenge.
This is the International Peace Support Training Center in Karen, where Brigadier Joyce Sietene is the very first woman director since the establishment was founded in the year 2001.
I came back from the Democratic Republic of Congo. I went back to the Defense Forces School of Higher Education, where I carried out activities as a trainer, and then got my deployment to International Peace Support Training Center. And this is a place I have stayed for many years.
She continues to facilitate training workshops and courses imparting practical gender mainstreaming skills and knowledge in support of the institutionalization of gender at the International Peace Support Training and the Kenya Defense Forces.
International Peace Support Training Center has given me a lot of experience in terms of helping me conceptualize a lot of things on peace and security, ensuring that gender is mainstreamed in every training activity that we undertake here at IPSTC. There's a lot that I carry with me, and I believe I'll be telling my grandchildren in their old age.
Reporting for KBC from the International Peace Support Training Center in Karen, I'm Nisi Imano.
Furahia maisha bora, linda jamii.
Hii ng'ombe ni yako. Asante. Hii ng'ombe itatoa maziwa mengi kabisa. Sasa shida ya school fees imeisha tena. Chukua hii. Hebu nikuulize, hii maneno nasikia ya bima ya elimu inaweza kuonekana mtu anataka process ya kuchukua insurance kama yote ni rahisi. Hata niko na kaba ya gari yangu. Kwanza unajaza proposal form kama hii na uijaze wewe mwenyewe, na kama haujui kusoma uijaze na mtu mwingine. Hakikisha ile majibu umepatiana ni sahihi na ni ya kweli. Pia thibitisha insurance cover imeangalia maslahi yako, na usiwahi sign proposal form ambayo haijaandikwa kitu chochote. Pia ukumbuke kujitolea photocopy yako. Sasa wacha nianze hiyo process. By the way, ukisubmit hiyo proposal form, uhakikishe umepatiwa policy document. Uisome na uielewe. Hiyo ndio thibitisho ya kuwa unabiba.
Machakos County is gearing up to elect a new governor. How well do you know the candidates and what do they have to offer? KBC Channel 1 has organized a gubernatorial debate for Machakos aspirants this Thursday, 19th May, live from Scott Christian University, Machakos, exclusively on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back. Let's now take a look at today's business news. My name is Caroline Jenga. The Central Depository and Settlement Corporation says the monthly charges on stock accounts that come into effect in July will not be suspended. CDSC says stakeholders were given 60 days to make their input to the proposal before it was implemented. CDSC Chief Chris Mwebesa says the 100 shillings monthly levy on the account is very small to cause investor flight from the market. The levy has been criticized by stockbrokers and money market managers.
Yesterday's announcement by the Central Depository and Settlement Corporation to introduce account maintenance fees for stock market accounts have caused a major stir in the local markets. Stockbrokers say the move is likely to stifle the growth of the market, which has suffered a major investor hemorrhage in the last 10 years.
CDC need to relook their strategy in terms of how are they going to make it more exciting for more people to join and ultimately earn from them in the future, not killing an already shrinked number of investors.
According to the brokers, the number of CDSC accounts has dropped to 80,000 from a high of 2 million when the Safaricom shares were floated in 2007.
Safaricom has dropped to levels now we're seeing 30 and we're going below 30's level. And, you know, if you see such a drop in Safaricom that accounts for 57%, it definitely shows you all the other stocks are dragged down to those levels.
Under the new proposal, CDSC account holders have been slapped with a new 100 shillings a monthly fee in a bid to help the Settlement Corporation shore up its revenue.
So we want to be very equitable and very fair to all our stakeholders. But we can only do that if we remain financially sustainable and we're able to maintain our system.
CDSC Chief Chris Mwebesa says the new fee will also help CDSC expand the trading platform.
Platform one can lend their securities, they can borrow securities for trading strategies. We are seeing that it's starting to pick up.
Market brokers say there were no proper consultations before the new charges were introduced. The fee will apply to both active and dormant accounts.
It's a move that has heavily been challenged, even in social medias. There's not been public participation on the part of CDSC in terms of just, talking to shareholders or investors in this market to just get their input.
Some of our fees are legislated. Others are not. This is one fee that is not legislated. So there's no requirement for public participation. We've given a notice of 60 days.
There are about 80,000 actively trading accounts, out of which 60 to 70% are dormant, according to Kevin Miner from Genghis Capital. However, CDSC says that there are 1.64 million accounts, where 56,214 traded in the first quarter of 2022. Non-dormant accounts were reported at 404,742 and dormant accounts at 1.176 million accounts.
Moving on, about 60% of those living in urban areas are obese due to the proliferation of fast foods and consumption of high-fat diets. Max International CEO Joseph Votiki says urban dwellers should adopt healthier eating habits to avert an impeding health endemic that might cripple the working population.
First joined to being a bronze associate to silver associate to...
As more than half the urban population battles with obesity, the number in rural areas are less than a third of that, standing at 19.5%, mainly due to eating healthy and getting involved in activities that make them exercise. This is mainly attributed to eating habits, where those in urban centers mainly consume high-calorie foods, that has seen the number of obese individuals increasing, a matter that food companies say reflects the association of unhealthy foods to affluence.
Your future can't be bright if your cells aren't healthy. Nobody ever thinks about anything if you're sick, right? So it's so important, and especially when we're thinking about the times that we're in.
They now say the growing number threatens the overall productivity in urban areas as it poses a health burden to the government.
You have very well-educated people here. You have people who demand the best. You look around Nairobi, what a dynamic city. You see the growth. You see everybody looking for economic expansion.
Max International CEO Joseph Wojcicki now says individuals should consider changing their lifestyles to encompass regulated diets and health supplements.
We don't end up being a burden to the overall society so that people can stay healthier longer.
Hibak Said for Prime Edition.
Studies. Right? We do not.
Foods has launched a 1 billion shillings subsidiary focused on modern and commercial farming. The company says Trigger Fresh will focus on supplying informal retailers and urban consumers with lower cost, better quality and safe food. Details of these and other stories from our corporate scene.
Standing at 5,199 meters, Mount Kenya is the second highest peak in Africa and is one of the key adventure tourism destinations. Its scenic views with diverse wildlife make it a unique destination.
It's exciting, it's beautiful. Yeah, there are a few things which are good, many things are good, and a few things can be the enablers to make it even better. We will have a Marshall Plan for Mount Kenya National Park.
Speaking during the 4-day hiking expedition that aimed at boosting the domestic tour portfolio,
Tourism and Wildlife Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala said adventure, hiking and mountaineering experiences are key catalysts in the recovery of tourism business in Kenya. Still on tourism matters, Radisson Blu Hotel in Nairobi has resumed operations after 2 years under new leadership after finalization of the acquisition of the facility.
Congratulations to Radisson Blu. We know you have the product, you have the service, and we will all go to support you. So, yes, congratulations for this reopening, and we look forward to better service.
We had around 300 staff before we closed back 2 years ago, and we've employed just over 220. So we're back to a good number that can run this hotel, but keeping in mind that COVID really affected us, we still will try and see how we can manage with what we have.
The hotel is banking on its modern style and ability to let guests focus on a work-life balance to attract traffic. And Twiga Foods has invested 1.5 billion shillings in a system that would help reduce fluctuation of food prices by directly linking farmers to consumers.
And essentially, this is a project that I'm very, very proud of, because what we've done in a very, very short span of time is to step change food production in the country with regard to things like tomatoes, onions and watermelons. And working with IFC, we've started building protocols in terms of how we're assessing our impact or how we're actually looking at food production on the ground.
The investment targets to scale up the efficient production of domestic horticultural staples like onions, tomatoes and watermelons. Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
Kenya is now looking for alternative sources of wheat in countries such as Serbia to cushion consumers against the high cost of wheat flour and to avert the looming shortage. Local farmers can barely meet demand as most of them have embraced other ventures such as livestock, maize and hay production.
Kenya is staring at wheat shortages with the current consumption at 24 million bags against an annual production of about 2 million. Kenya imports about 60% of wheat from Russia and Ukraine, but the conflict between the two countries has only made matters worse. Farmers in Kenya can barely meet local consumption demand due to what they term as high cost of fuel and farm inputs including fertilizer.
Those farmers now are farmers which are using bomaros. They have cows and do not have farms, so they use bomaros to feed their cows.
Even though officials are exploring alternative sources of wheat in order to make up for the shortfall, farmers are against the idea of wheat importation.
Let the government help us produce more so we can help each other in this country.
Some farmers say the high cost of production has pushed them to consider other ventures such as livestock, maize, horticulture and production of hay. Kenya had hoped to plug the deficit by importing wheat from India, but the Asian country has since banned imports to secure its local market in the wake of a devastating heat wave that decimated the crop. A 2-kilo packet of flour is retailing at about 180 shillings. Kenya is eyeing Serbia to cushion consumers against the high cost of wheat flour and to avert the looming shortage. Hibak Said for Prime Edition.
That story brings to a close business news for tonight, and I'll hand you over to Tom Mboya, who is going to take us through the sports update. My name is Caroline Jenga. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.
They came, saw and scored their way to the DFB Pokal final. Germany's valiant rivals, SC Freiburg and RB Leipzig, are a heartbeat away from lifting the ultimate trophy of which none has ever won. SC Freiburg are still hopeful of winning their first major title in club history. Meanwhile, RB Leipzig have reached 2 of the last 3 DFB Pokal finals, losing 3-0 to Bayern Munich in 2019 and 4-1 to Dortmund in 2021. It is therefore a moment of truth for these finalists.
So 5 from 6 this season, make that 6 from 7. 35 minutes gone, 3-0 Freiburg. This is history in the making.
As we reveal the identity of 2021-2022 DFB Pokal champion, keep a close eye on this grandest match between SC Freiburg and RB Leipzig on Saturday, the 21st of May 2022 at 9 p.m. live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
It's now time to get sporty. The National Athletics Trials for Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth Games that were slated for this Friday and Saturday have been postponed to next month. The new dates were announced by the National Olympic Committee of Kenya as well as the Athletics Kenya in a joint presser. The change is